Okay, so in this video we're going to be creating a quick render from using an object that we've made in Inventor. We're going to be importing it into Blender and creating a quick environment, adding some materials, playing about with lighting a wee bit but not too much, and creating our first render. So this video is really aimed at people that haven't used Blender at all, so I'm going to be going over some of the basic things like moving my camera around, adding in materials, adding in objects, and just very basic things. So once you open up Blender, you can just delete this first cube. I'm going to add in my object that I've created first, which is a step file. So if I go up to File, Import, Step, and find my object, you can click it. It should just be .stp. If you don't have that option, File, Import, and Step, that just means you haven't downloaded this Step Importer add-on. You just have to do that first. The link to that will be in the description below this video. So obviously we want some things for this object to bounce off of. So we want some shadows, so we want to add in a floor. To add in anything in Blender, you go to Shift A and then you can add in. You can also go up to this menu up here, Mesh, and we're going to use a plane. So I want to make this bigger. I'm just going to click S on my key for scale. I'm going to move my mouse, and about that size will work for now. If I'm ever moving my camera around, all that I'm doing is clicking my middle mouse wheel. I can move it around. You can also click up here and do different things with this. And to pan the camera, I can go to Shift and middle mouse button, and that will pan me around. If you ever get lost, whatever object you're clicking on, so if I go back to my clicking on my object, it's just called cube for now, I can click the full stop on my number pad and it'll take me right back to it. So next thing I want is a wall. I'm going to go to Shift A to add in another plane, Mesh, plane, and this time I'm going to rotate. So I'm going to click R on my keyboard, I'm going to click X for my X axis. I actually want to click Y instead, so I'm just going to click Y, and I'm going to type in 90. So do that again quickly. So that was Shift A, plane, R, Y, 90. So same thing, I want to make this bigger, S for scale, move my mouse, and that's a size that I'm happy with. So I'm going to move this. So to move things, you want to click G. So think G for grab. Then I'm going to click Y. Actually click X, and I'm just going to move this back just a touch. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to scale this up just a wee bit more. And now we're ready for some materials. So if I click on the object I want to change the materials of, the materials tab is just down here. It looks like a red sort of beach ball. And I'm just going to click new. Base color, click a color, and you'll notice that nothing's actually happened. That's because we are still in solid. So if I click Z on my keyboard, you get the option to change a few things. You can go right to rendered for now, but I'll need to move my lights about. I don't really want to do that now, so I'm just going to go to material preview. So the main things we want to change in the materials is the roughness and our subsurface scattering and our color. There are loads of other things you can change, but we're just going to focus on them two for now. I'm going to select a bit of a different blue. I'm probably going to change this when I actually do my render, so I'm just going to click that for now. I'm then going to change the roughness. This just changes how rough or smooth an object is, and that changes how reflective it is. So if I turn it right up, there's absolutely no reflections on it, and it looks a bit like chalk, looks a bit weird. I'm then going to turn it all the way down, and it looks a bit too reflective. So I'm going to turn this roughness just up a wee bit more. You can also play about with the metallic option. So if I turn this all the way up, it looks a bit too much like metal, but if I add just a wee bit in, it looks quite good. Then going to turn up my subsurface. This is just how much light goes into the object and then it is scattered around the object and reflected. If you think about your hand is somewhat transparent. If you hold it up to a light, you can see that it's sort of red on the inside and you can see into it a bit. That's the same with any other object. It's got some level of transparency, and plastic is just a touch. If I change the colour, I'm just going to turn it up to white. You could change it to something close to the colour that you've already picked. I'm just going to pick white for now, and I'm going to turn that down. Then I'm going to put in just some basic colours for my floor. I'm going to go with something like that for now, and I'm going to go for another blue for my background. And play about with the reflectiveness of this as well, so I'm going to turn the roughness down. I'm going to make it a bit more white. I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to go to rendered view now, so I'm going to click Z, rendered, and I'm going to move my lights about. So I'm going to select my first light, and I'm going to click G for grab to move it. I'm going to move it over to this side, and same thing, you can move it around with your coordinates, so Z or X. So I'm going to click G, Y, move it along, G, Z to move it down, and I'm quite happy with that. I want to add in another light, just something coming from the right hand side, so I'm going to go add Shift A, light, point, and it's already selected it, but if you click off this for some reason, I can click back onto it by clicking up here. I can click G, Z, move it up, G, Y, G, X. So it's not really doing much right now because the power's right down. If I turn off my main light, you can see how little it is actually doing. If you need to change any of the options, if you click your light, click it up here as well. It's quite hard to click on sometimes. Then go to the green light bulb. I can just turn up the power just a wee bit and see how that affects my render. So quite happy with that. So the last thing we need to put in now is the camera. So you can move the camera same way with doing G and moving it across and changing where it's pointing to. But I found the easiest way to actually get where you want your camera to be is if you click Control Alt and then 0, it'll actually just move the camera to where your camera is. So if I wanted to take a picture from here, we'll just move it along. So I'm going to go with something like that for now. And you can, same thing with the light, you can change some of the object options. So you can change the focal length. But I'm just going to leave it at 50 for now. So the last thing, I'm going to go to my render settings. So just over the right hand side, render properties. And right now we're in EV. You could change it to cycles, which we're going to go over a wee bit more in the next video. I'm just going to leave it in EV for now. And I'm going to take my last render. So I'm just going to go up to F12 as the shortcut for that. Click F12 and it will take a quick render of what you have. So this doesn't look too impressive just now. We're going to go over some more complex things in the next video. We're going to be adding in some 3D textures to the floor. We're going to be adding in some other parts like a desk, maybe a shelf, just to make the environment look a little bit different and give the light something else to bounce off of, just to make our picture a bit more interesting. We'll also be playing about with cycles, trying to get a really high quality realistic image. So if you want to learn a wee bit more about Blender and make your renders a bit more complex, then click on to the next video.